With how the internet has been reacting to the new Harry Potter series lately, the announcement of the trio literally caught everyone by surprise. Most fans were assuming HBO would keep it under wraps, especially considering how poorly the previous cast announcements went. Papasidu as Snape being the worst one yet. On the other hand though, the trio is obviously the heart and soul of the entire series. There have been so many speculations about who'd win the golden ticket to play these three characters. For lack of a better phrase, it's safe to say that most fans have been cautiously optimistic about HBO's casting choices. Despite the network's fairly unsatisfactory track record, not just with this show, but with everything, really. Anyway, not even 2 days ago, HBO officially revealed the young actors who will lead the upcoming Harry Potter television series. It's set to be an almost decade-long retelling of J.K. Rowling's books, spanning nearly 7 seasons, one for each book. The showrunners have promised that they'll try their best to stay true, even more true to the source material, while rekindling the love for the wizarding world for new generations. And while that does kind of feel like they're calling old fans, well, old, it also means new challenges. Challenges I've discussed in detail in some of our previous videos. But now that the main characters and their respective castings have been announced, things are finally starting to feel very real. This is happening, and there's nothing any of us can do about it, regardless of how we feel. The new faces of Harry, Hermione, and Ron have been unveiled as Dominic McLaughlin, Arabella Stanton, and Alastair Stout, respectively. While all three are relatively newcomers, especially in comparison to the globally recognized actors who portrayed the roles in the Warner Bros. Films, the internet has wasted no time digging into everything from their past performances to their resemblance to the book versions of the characters. But beyond the surface level chatter, the casting marks a symbolic turning point for the franchise, for better or worse. Let's take a moment to unpack who these young actors are and what the initial public responses looked like. Let's also dive into the sentimental and realistic implications of what their casting really means, and not just for HBO's ambitious series or for the legacy of Harry Potter as a whole, but for the fans who've lived and grown up with the series. Let's start with Dominic McLaughlin, who will step into the impossibly large shoes of Harry Potter himself. Not much is known about Laughlin. In fact, not much is known about any of these three kids. They're that new, which is kind of the theme with history repeats itself, considering how originally our main OG trio were just some random kids also. That is, until they acted on to become some of the biggest stars in Hollywood. The only thing we do know about the new actors is the fact that they were selected from a staggering pool of over 30,000 children. That sheer number speaks volumes about how intensive the casting process was and how talented these actors had to be to stand out amongst thousands of others. And while the producers have kept much of the process under wraps, early reports suggest Dominic delivered an audition that genuinely captured everyone in the room. You can quite literally see the quiet resilience and emotional complexity exuding from him, the traits that fundamentally define the Harry we see in the books. Dominic is a Scottish actor who, despite his 11 years of age, has been acting for 5 years now. He began his career at the Performance Academy Scotland and has bagged some pretty substantial roles in some other high-end shows. He's set to appear in Gifted, an action-adventure show adapted from Marilyn Kaye's novel of the same name. It revolves around a bunch of kids trying to navigate the fact that they have superpowers, and also in a comedy show called Grow on Sky, where he stars alongside Nick Frost, who, fun fact, is also set to play the new Rubeus Hagrid. Then there's Arabella Stanton, who will portray Hermione Granger. Unlike her co-stars, Arabella already has some substantial acting credits under her belt. She previously starred as Matilda in Matilda the Musical on the West End, and has also played a lead role in Starlight Express. Arabella's casting has garnered quite a bit of praise already, especially from book purists who've long pointed out that Emma Watson, while iconic in her own right, didn't exactly match Rowling's original description of Hermione. Stanton literally has all the signature traits of the book Hermione, with her frizzy hair, bookish intensity, and confident delivery. I personally think Arabella is basically poised to bring the character closer to the source text than ever before. She looks very Hermione, not just the brainy know-it-all bits, but also the ambitious, loyal, and humorous parts. As for Alistair Stout, he might be the biggest unknown among the trio. Up to this point, his most visible role was in a commercial for Jersey Royal potatoes, and that too only for a few seconds. But what he lacks in screen time, he apparently makes up for in raw charm. Ron has always been the most human in the trio. He's so funny, so flawed, and occasionally jealous, but a fiercely loyal companion to his counterparts. Let's not forget, he's also very deeply courageous. From the little we've seen and heard so far, Alistair seems well suited to bring out the understated strengths of that character. And let's be honest, if nothing else, I'd purely give him the role based on his very red-colored hair. Naturally. The internet exploded literally the moment HBO made the announcement. The reactions were predictably mixed. Based on the different platforms, you could see fans being excited, skeptical, and curious, and in some corners, downright vicious and dreadful. In fact, things got so heated that HBO ended up disabling comments on their Instagram announcement post. While presumably that was to shield the young cast from unnecessary hate online, it could also be deflection on their part. They're not above that, considering how despite a push against Papa Essida, they still went with it. To be clear though, not all of the discourse was toxic. Plenty of fans have expressed excitement about the new cast. They've praised the new casting for taking the characters back to their literary roots. There's also been a wave of support for the idea of giving a new generation of actors the chance to make these roles their own. Some longtime fans have admitted that they were initially unsure about the reboot altogether, but seeing these fresh faces of actors has started to win them over. But as always, there's the flip side. There's a fairly massive vocal contingent of fans that are arguing for the opposite side of the story. Their concerns range from the unnecessariness of a reboot at all, to discomfort with J.K. Rowling's continued involvement in the project, pertaining to her very controversial opinions, and one of the most controversial discourses online was when it was revealed that British Ghanaian actor Papa Essida would be playing Severus Snape. This gave rise to an entirely separate wave of backlash, which was primarily from fans accusing the show of engaging in forced diversity, or deviating too far from the characters as originally described. The thing is, we now see a pattern with reboots. They're so very particularly frustrating considered how often adaptations struggle to balance creative reinterpretation with, well, nostalgia and respect for the original. Still, others have pointed out that none of this is new. The casting of a black actress as Hermione in the stage play Harry Potter and the Cursed Child drew some insane reactions from fans back in 2016. But once the show opened, most people had to swallow their words considering how awesome of a job she did. Perhaps, in time, this trio will earn the same respect. According to reports, the series is intended to span 10 years, with one season dedicated to each of the 7 books. This makes us hope that this will leave room for additional material drawn from the larger Wizarding World lore. The movies were great, obviously. They're the reason the show is being made in the first place. But getting to see some certain obscure details that can only be found in the books on screen sounds like a treat. The showrunner, Francesca Gardiner, is known for her work on Succession and His Dark Materials, 2 series that are as character-driven as they are visually compelling. Alongside her, we have Mark Mylod, an executive producer and director who's no stranger to managing intense shows. I mean, he's worked on Game of Thrones for God's sake. I'm sure these two are cooking up something. Only time will tell if it's something good. The decision to stretch the story across a decade suggests a much deeper dive into the world of Hogwarts. We can easily expect more nuanced character development and less rushed plots, and perhaps, and this is something I'm most excited for, this time we might actually explore some of these subplots that were condensed in the original films. Imagine actually witnessing the full impact of Voldemort's rise during the First Wizarding War. Filming is slated to begin in the summer of 2025 at Warner Bros. Studio Leavesden, which is the same location used for the original films. We've seen some snippets of the set on a few Reddit and X posts, but like most of the other details, HBO's keeping this one under wraps too. HBO's current plan is to premiere the series in 2026 on the Max streaming platform. And while it remains to be seen how well the show will perform, both critically and commercially, most of these early signs suggest HBO is taking its time and hopefully taking it seriously. At the end of the day, this is just the beginning. Dominic, Arabella, and Alistair are about to step into one of the most scrutinized and most beloved franchises in modern storytelling. The pressure is immense for these actors, definitely, and like the original trio, this one will come with a lot of unrelenting spotlight and unwanted attention. And this time, there will also be the inevitable comparison. But if HBO ends up staying true to their words and the original series, maybe this will simply add to the legacy the original series upholds, and that's something to look forward to. So, here's hoping this new generation of wizards gets their due chance to shine. What do you think? Do you think the new trio will do a good job? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, stay curious, stay magical, and don't forget to subscribe for more Wizarding World deep dives. I'll catch you next time.